What is up, everybody? Uncle Buck here for the post-game bounce, recapping the Grizzlies' 111 to 101 loss on the road, wrapping a four-game road stretch here. I am joined honorably by Francis Carlotta. It's late for all of us. It's 9:30, buddy. It is dinner time for you.
It is. I had a long day at work today, so I took a really late lunch. So I ate around like 2:30 today, 3 o'clock. I work from home, so I guess it's not that bad. But I ate a pretty late lunch, and I ordered barbecue in San Diego. Is not that good. Let's be very clear about that. But we got some barbecue. I ate some beef ribs. Ate that late, so I'm feeling all right. I'm not too hungry.
Yeah,
not too hungry.
Beef ribs is a lunch that'll hold you for a little while.
Exactly.
So let's Grizzlies fall 111-110. I believe this is loss number 6 in a row. Somebody help me out. I try to block out. They fall to 4-11 on the season, and this was a wholly frustrating game. We got this chat just a couple minutes before the green room, and what I'm kind of left with is just the feeling of inevitability. It's like we play the Golden State Warriors, have a nice close game, and then you have death by Moses Moody on a night where you hold Steph Curry to 16 points. And then you played tonight against the San Antonio Spurs with no Wemby and no Stephon Castle, and you get nuked in the fourth quarter by none other than Harrison Barnes, certified grade A Grizz killer, shows up when you expect him the least. It just feels inevitable. Help me out.
No, it really does. I think Harrison Barnes is an underrated Grizz killer. I think if you gave a list of like top 5 Grizz killers, I don't think he would make it. But he's one of them.
Know. I don't know. I feel like he's pretty high up on the list. CJ McCollum. He may have taken the CJ McCollum spot. Because McCollum as a Pelican was he lost his status as Grizz killer. Harrison Barnes tonight may have taken his spot.
Yeah. No, that game seemed like just a rinse and repeat of the Cleveland game. They talked about on the broadcast a lot where Memphis was up, had pretty much control. Then the fourth quarter, they just crumble. Though the Grizz did have a lead going into like the final 5 minutes of the game. I mean, just going through the play-by-play of the game, the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter was just a San Antonio Spurs run. And by San Antonio Spurs, I'm talking about a Harrison Barnes run. It was 101-100 with 2:28 left. And then the Spurs go on an 11-0 run to end the game. Barnes scores 8 in a row, and it's just game over. Blouses at that point.
Blouses.
That is what it was.
Yeah, and the game was decided at that point, but then to turn it over twice on your last 2 possessions. I mean, it was 8 when you were inbounding and you throw the ball away. It was not great. We're going to get into some stats here. I thought the game – listen, as a Grizzlies fan, we're now 4-11. I don't want to crash out over this game. There's been games to crash out over. It's sad to say, but it is just a reality at this point. That game was tight for 47 and a half minutes. I wholly enjoyed watching this game of basketball tonight, and it is sad if you want to think about that. That's the bar. It's just like entertainment value, but it is, and sometimes you just have to hold on to that. I thought you got good efforts out of several people today. I see some Vince Williams slander going on in the comments here. I'm not going to slander Vince Williams tonight. Toyed around with a double-double. Vince Williams is one of those guys, like, you're going to have to get you're going to have to take a little bit of mess if you're going to get any of the good out of Vince Williams. And all the guys that are playing right now are playing out of position. They're playing more minutes than they should in positions that they don't normally play in. So I'm not going to just bash on anybody except for one person, which we'll get to in a little bit.
No, I'm glad you brought up Vince and talking about out of position. He played point guard. Vince Williams was essentially our starting point guard, and he had 9 assists, Drew. He did a solid job navigating pick and rolls, high screens. He did a good job putting his defender on his back hip, and you could see him trying to get to the rim, considering there's no Wemby. he made efforts to get to the rim, and you could see him be frustrated at the end of the first half, where he got to the rim to end the half, missed a shot, and then he audibly yelled a curse word that I probably can't yell on this show. But so you could tell that he was trying to get to the rim and put his defender in tough positions, which overall he did. It just took until really the second half, late third, early fourth, for Vince to start hitting shots. But when he did, he was still impactful at the end. And I mean, look, 9 assists, 14 points, 8 rebounds, not just mess around with a double-double, almost got a triple-double from tonight.
I meant to say triple-double. I was looking at the comments, and somebody corrected me, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I said triple-double. Obviously, I didn't. And I'm a man that can admit my mistakes. Yeah. There was a lot of comments on the broadcast, which I miss. Friend of the show, friend of the network, Brevin Knight, and his cohort, Pete Pranica. It drives me crazy when we don't get the opportunity to listen to them. But Reggie Miller, amongst his just incessant babbling, and Cedric, he's not a coward, or whatever he said. Just going into the break there, he's just the most cringe. It's like if my dad. It's like I've got kids that are 11 and 10, and some youngers that don't get it. But like if I were to walk in a room and say 6, 7, and that cringe that they would do, that's how I feel listening to Reggie Miller take us into break during a basketball game. It's just the worst. But he talked highly of Cam Spencer, and I thought Cam Spencer had a really good offensive night. Again, wholly playing out of position, having to ask way too much out of him. Other ones, listen, we can't talk about the good without talking about Cedric Coward. He had an 8-0 run on his own with 2 threes and a nice little midi, and to really to take the lead back for the Grizzlies there in middle way through the fourth quarter. He just continues to be amazing and great.
No, he really does. And I'll talk Cam first and then go on to Cedric. What I liked so much about Cam, well, I've always liked about Cam, he plays with so much effort. He knows he's not the biggest dude on the court. He knows he's not the most athletic dude on the floor. But what he makes up for his, I guess, sheer intangibles is his just absolute dog of an effort every time he plays for the Grizzlies. And you got to love that from him. You just have to love that effort from a guy. And he, on the offensive side, was the Cam Spencer we know he can be when he's aggressive, coming off of screens, pulling up from 3, shooting with confidence, trying to get to his spots in the mid-range too. He had a great game, especially on the offensive side. Defensively too, I'm sure you remember, Drew, they would try and target Cam Spencer and pick and rolls whenever he was in the game. And I thought Cam did a really good job showing hard on those pick and rolls and allowing KCP time to recover over those screens. And then as soon as Cam showed, he did a good job recovering back to his man and to give KCP time to get back on De'Aaron Fox, or whether it's Vince or whoever was guarding Fox at that time. So I thought, yes, the Spurs tried to target Cam Spencer, and Cam obviously knew that, but I thought he did a solid job when they would try and put him in these tough situations and pick and rolls to try and get the switches with De'Aaron Fox. Talking about Cedric Coward, I mean, what else is there to say, man? Like, you've waxed poetic about him. Every Grizzlies fan is waxed poetic about Cedric Coward. He's the dude right there. Like, that guy is just, he plays so maturely. I know a lot of people want to compare him to MJ, but I will always compare him to Kawhi. And the big thing for me is MJ was this once-in-a-lifetime athlete, vertical athlete who can just do crazy things in the air. Cedric Coward can't do that. He can't do that. He can't do otherworldly things in the air vertically. But what he
hasn't shown us yet.
He hasn't shown it. Right. But what he can do is get to his spots, rise up with confidence, hit threes, defend really, really well, use his size, use his frame, and use a really impressive basketball IQ at such a young age to be effective. And that just screams Kawhi Leonard to me. Like, even his jump shot screams Kawhi Leonard. No, Cedric's the man. He was so good tonight. Just that damn minutes restriction, as a lot of people in the comments have been talking about. So,
you know, I caught myself thinking in the broadcast, they talked about it and they were like, this is just a young team that doesn't know how to win. And immediately I recoiled and I was like, this isn't a young team. And then I looked at the lineup of the people who were on the court, and it was Jaren, who is in his 7th year, And Wells, Edey, Cedric, and who am I missing? Wells, Edey, Cam Spencer. Cam Spencer was the other one that closed
Cam Spencer too. Yeah.
All of them are in their second year or a rookie alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. That's what happened late is you didn't have that guy to end it. And I've often kind of called Ja to the carpet there and said that this is the guy, this is the dude that you're supposed to have to stop these runs. It happened a lot last year where you just couldn't get a bucket when the avalanche was coming. You just couldn't get a bucket to stop it. And I've criticized Jaren for not being that guy. And ultimately, when Ja's healthy, he needs to be that guy. But there was no one out there that was willing to get a bucket. Edey was gassed. I've got some Edey thoughts I'll share here, and it's going to be shocking for anybody who has listened to me talk about Zack Edey for any length of time, because I've been one could say I've been a hater. But
one could.
What's that?
I said one could say that, yeah.
Yeah, one could say that. But he was absolutely gassed tonight. He finished 4 of 10 from the field. There was times where I was frustrated. Like, maybe it's because I'm a short dude, but I think, like, you're 7'5", that hook shot, you should be hitting it 98% of the time. But he was obviously gassed tonight.
Yeah, he definitely was. You know, it was, how many minutes? He played 25 minutes tonight. And I guess the best example of him being just absolutely gassed was that possession near the end of the game. I can't remember exactly how much time was left. Did a good job on the boards, got the offensive rebound, and I'm just, he's going to dunk it. Like, he's just going to dunk the ball on Luke Cornett because he's 7'4" and he's Zack Edey. Right. And then he does this like little half hook that hits the back rim and goes out. And then San Antonio goes into the other end, and I think it was another Harrison Barnes 3 or something. And
good chance.
Essentially, yeah, exactly. So it was essentially game over. As soon as Edey misses that little half hook, Barnes hits a 3. It's a 5-point swing. And I feel like if that were in the first quarter, early in game, maybe Edey just rises up and yams one on Luke Cornett.
Right.
But at that point in the game, yeah, he definitely looked gassed. Even in that possession where they tried to throw him the ball in the post, I mean, it just looked like he was in quicksand. You know, all the critiques that people had about Edey coming out of college showed there. Like, he had no fluidity. He got into no bag, and it just looked tough for you. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm curious, Drew, because I haven't talked to you much. It's my first time actually talking to you.
Yes,
so
sir.
What are your primary concerns with Zack Edey in the long term?
Well, initially it was John needs to be in the lane, and he's a guy that doesn't exit the lane. I thought that was an offensive problem for him. He doesn't stretch the floor. Taylor tried to stretch the floor with him last year. He hit a couple, but it wasn't great. He's out of position. Right. That was my initial thing. And then it's ultimately, historically speaking, you've got guys in the current NBA like Rudy Gobert, who is a 3 or 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's been a unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. But that's that big guy, that big lug with kind of slow feet, who is a regular season good defensive player, but in the playoffs is easily schemed out of games. That scares me with Edey. And that's always been my hang up with him. It's like it's not regular season. I've said on our show this year, like, he is so important to regular season success. I just don't know what the counter is if he can't stay on the court if he's targeted. And so that's where I'm at with Edey.
Okay. No, I think, I think that's totally fair to have those concerns. Like you said last year with Jenkins and Edey, if Edey's on the perimeter, then he's not maximized on the floor.
Right.
So that doesn't make any sense for him to be out there being a corner shooter. That just makes no sense.
Right.
So, there's that.
I think Taylor Jenkins may have agreed with me, and so he tried to force him into a corner 3-point shooter, which is the exact antithesis of what you're supposed to do with a guy like Zack Edey. If you're going to have him, you just got to let him do what he's good at, and that's just be in the restricted area and set screens. And I say all that, and I want to kind of, I'm not going to take a 180 on Edey, but I want to provide a different angle. And this is maybe like an old school take or whatever. When Edey the offense runs through Edey, and you're probably going to see that a good bit as he gets his conditioning up, especially if Ja's not in the game.
Yeah.
When the offense runs through Edey, it's fun. It's really fun to watch. It's a throwback kind of style with a back to the basket, and I just kind of enjoy seeing post basketball, and it just kind of took me back a little bit tonight, and it's fun to watch. I still hold my criticisms and I still hold my reservations a little bit, but it is really fun to watch Zack Edey play basketball. I'm scared of how it translates. And also I will say that my critiquing in postseason success was always with the assumption that we would be in the postseason. And so maybe we're playing for regular season basketball.
Yeah, shit, man. Maybe, maybe we are. But your point about Edey, let's guess that he's at the very least fun to watch, at least in the regular season. Yeah, that's also a good point because if they throw him the ball, he can have legitimate gravity if he's back to full health. He can get to his spots. He can finish. He is still insanely tall, taller than basically everybody in the league, strong as hell too. So, I do think when he's fully up to speed, they will play through him more. And I think they should, especially with no Ja. I agree with you, especially with no Ja Morant. And at least Edey can draw gravity and draw help whenever he gets the ball in the post. Then the next step for him is just to make those progressions as a passer, as a playmaker, reading where the double is going to come from. Can he pivot, make the right read, and pass to the open guy? That's going to be the next step in his progression. But I think today, as you brought up earlier, Drew, he just looked gassed. Like, it was clear he was not up to his full speed and health-wise, and it cost the Grizzlies at the end, for sure.
Can you tell me how many points the Grizzlies scored in the fourth quarter tonight?
Well, 14.
Yeah.
That's.
I don't really know. I guess it's a Harrison Barnes heater and a young team for us. If you look at the stats as we go through the stats, then I want to get into some of the hate because, good Lord, I hope Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't tune into the comment section after a Grizz loss because he always gets it. It is consistent. The Jaren Jackson Jr., the anti-Jaren Jackson Jr. hive is extremely prevalent and dominant in post-game chats. I'm sure wherever there are. But looking at this, just the stat line, the team stats, the Grizzlies out-rebounded San Antonio by 21. They had 7 more assists. On the defensive end, they had 4 more defensive rebounds. Francis, they had 17 more offensive rebounds and 20 more second chance points than San Antonio.
Yeah.
They also, and probably the difference, points off turnovers, the Grizzlies had 6 points off turnovers to San Antonio's 24.
Yeah, that's a big one.
On 14 Grizzlies turnovers, they converted it into 24 points, which is just an incredible percentage.
Yeah, I feel like the turnovers that Memphis committed were live ball turnovers that led to just easy looks for the Spurs. And whatever turnovers the Spurs committed, very rarely were they live ball turnovers. It was like a travel or an offensive foul or a ball out of bounds. It was a rare live ball turnover that allowed Memphis to get in the fast break. I don't see it on the stats that I'm looking at now. Do you know how many fast break points the Grizz had tonight, Drew? I don't know.
4.
Oh God, that is, yeah.
But to be fair, this was an ugly basketball game with 212 combined points. The Spurs only had 6.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Spurs only had 6. All right. Yeah, touche. Yeah. But I guess that kind of just goes to the point I'm trying to make is like whatever turnovers the Spurs did commit, not many of them were live balls. So it was hard for Memphis to get in transition. And then also without Ja Morant pushing the pace, playing fast, you have a starting point guard of Vince Williams Jr. It's going to be hard to just run. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Zack Edey as your center, it's going to be hard to run. So, I was looking at the advanced stats just a moment ago while the game was happening. Memphis for the actual season in terms of pace, let me just pull it up. Memphis overall, they rank 6th in pace. And I'm curious what it's going to look like after today. If I had to guess, that pace rating probably drops from 6 in the league because
Oh yeah.
today they played very slow, just very slow. And then the half court, there was just no separation, no
Yeah.
dribble penetration. It was tough in the
We've
half court.
joked on the $2 Sports Show that if you don't know what you're doing, you better do it quickly.
Yeah,
And that's what the Grizzlies do. They play ridiculously fast. Like you said, the 6 that's up from the last time I looked. The last time I looked, it was 7th, and they are now in the midst of a long stretch of losing, and the pace is only going up. So, it's wild.
yeah. Well, the other point I wanted to make too, Drew, is the free throw difference. San Antonio, they got to the line 13 times. Memphis got to the line 9 times. And I'm curious, without Ja Morant, who is going to put pressure on the defense going downhill and get fouled? There's not.
Well,
Who's that going to
in
be?
that Cleveland game, it was Jaren.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jaren had 12 free throw attempts against Cleveland. I'm looking here. 14.
But they also got
he was 12 of 14.
I feel like a lot of, well, I guess the refs with Jaren can be willing to call the fouls on him, and sometimes they swallow the whistle. Looking at Jaren's free throw total, he didn't get to the line at all today, and I feel like Jaren felt like he was getting fouled a lot, but it was rare that fouls were called on him. So I don't know. It's just something to bring up because I just don't know without Ja who's going to be the one to be getting to the free throw line consistently. And then, I mean, the big difference is the 3-point shooting. Memphis 12 for 39, San Antonio 16 for 42. So they were plus 12 from 3, and that's the game right there, Drew. San Antonio being plus 12 from 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The Grizzlies. I'm at the wrong game here. Shooting percentages wise, for both teams, the Grizzlies shot 40% from the field, 30% from 3, and San Antonio shot 48% from the field, 38% from 3. So, and I like a game. This game felt like it had pace to it, which seemed like it should have gone in the Grizzlies' favor, but only 22 combined fouls, and only 22 combined free throws in the game.
Yeah,
makes for a very fast-paced game, and
yeah,
especially you consider the fact that every shot for the most part was bricked, especially in the first half by both teams. I mean, neither team reached 50 at halftime. It was you don't see that.
I think the announcer said at the start of the second half that they combined for the most missed field goals in a half for the whole regular season thus far. It was tough, man. It was rough.
Let's talk about some badness.
Sure.
We spent 25 minutes on, or more or less, on what we liked about it. We talked about Vince and Coward and Edey. I even gave Edey some flowers. Jock Landale was just embarrassing tonight, and I have been a Landale guy. I've not been a Landale guy. I've been a Landale defender because. Again, like Vince Williams and like Cam Spencer, he should not be starting in the NBA. That's a front office mess. But he was in there, and he was trying hard, and he was getting some rebounds, and you just had to live with him. Tonight, he was just straight up awful. Just pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of what you were saying, Drew, is like now are we just playing for the regular season? Are we now just trying to make an all try hard team with this Grizzlies roster? Because Landale, he tried. He definitely tried. Cam Spencer tried. I think the Grizzlies as a whole tonight, they tried. Like they definitely fought. They didn't win. But I don't know how you felt. For me, I never felt like the Grizz let go of the rope. It just, the run at the end of the game is the run at the end of the game. But I thought they fought as hard as they could, Landale included. I thought Landale tried his best. But unfortunately, his best was him going 2 for 9 from the floor with 2 turnovers. Yeah, he had 7 rebounds. That's good.
But I think when I threw my hands up the most was one of the 7 misses. He attempted a dream shake and almost lost his own shoes. I was like, buddy, like,
oh my gosh,
let's not.
Oh my goodness, yeah, just they would try to throw him the ball in the post. And it was just you might as well call it a turnover. Like you
Yeah.
don't even put it as a field goal attempt. It's a turnover at that point, and it was tough, man. It was tough from Jock
Yes.
Landale.
Jaren Jackson Jr. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Here it is, right on cue. Jalen Nelson, we lost because JJ ain't real star or superpower. All caps. Talk about it. So let's talk about it. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s stat line tonight: in 33 minutes, he scored 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He only had 2 personal fouls, 3 turnovers. 2 of his rebounds were offensive, 4 defensive. He shot 8 of 20 from the field and 2 of 7 from 3. It was another night of just inefficient basketball. And listen, I don't know what everybody wants us to say or to opine about. It's obvious to me. Like, I don't know how anybody could get to the point to where you think you can like trade Jaren and end up better. Like, that's something that's just beyond my comprehension. Maybe I'm too small of a thinker. I'm sure I'll hear about it in the comments in a second. But I think the biggest gripe with Jaren to me is just like you want him to be the alpha. But the problem is the guys on this team that you want to be alphas, that's what the fans put on them. You want them to change their genetic makeup. And that's what we're learning. Is that as bad as we want to like call them betas and dig on them online and in comment section and post game shows about them being a beta, that's just how they're wired, and we're learning it. And we've tried to fix it with Marcus Smart, and we've tried to fix it with KCP, but they just are what they are. But what they also are like unicorn level players who can do anything on a basketball court, and 29 teams would want Jaren Jackson Jr. on their team. You just got to figure out how to get the next level out of it. And I don't really have a good answer.
Yeah, I think those are also good points, Drew. The hope after last season, when you had basically no Ja Morant, it was the Jaren Jackson show. A lot of the talk in the offseason was now at least Jaren has had time being the alpha. You know, he's had time being the number one option. And now maybe he can grow his game because he's now had experience being the top dog. It's clear that sometimes when people show you who they are, you got to believe them. And I don't think Jaren will ever be a number one option on a championship team, ever. You know, can Jaren be a number 2 option on a championship team? Sure. Could it be a third? Absolutely. But second, yeah. But what do Grizz, as you said, Drew, what do y'all want? Do you want Jaren to be a number 1 option on a championship team? If that's what you want, that's not what y'all are going to get from Jaren Jackson Jr. He is still go ahead, Drew.
I was going to say, this is off topic. This really made me laugh. Jock Landale hoop like a really good electrician. Sorry, it just made me laugh. I had to throw it up on the screen.
No, that is really funny.
and there's a real problem with. I mean, if you think about this from the other team's perspective, is I just gave you the closing lineup for the Grizzlies. It was Cam Spencer, Jaren, Zack Edey, and Jalen. Who cares who's going to shoot the ball? All you're zoned in on is Jaren. There's a real lack of options outside of Jaren. And so the numbers are inefficient, and you can talk about the genetic makeup. If you want to take the genetic makeup out of it and just look at the numbers, I can make a pretty good argument as to why they're inefficient. There's just no one else out there. I mean, he's not shooting open shots unless they're threes, and by their nature, if you shoot 40% in a career, you're considered a great shooter.
Yeah, and I know with Jaren, like last year especially, a lot of people, there were times where Jaren looked like kind of a mini Giannis, where he would put his head down, get downhill, body somebody, and then finish at the rim. And I think that you saw that from Jaren last year because there was really, he had a lot of reps at doing that, and there was nobody else on the floor for him to pass to. Now, I think he's still trying to adjust with how he's going to fit onto this roster now, especially with no Ja. And there are times where he still looks unconfident with the ball in his hands, especially going downhill. He does not look confident. You know, maybe is that a makeup of the direction of the team that the best 2 players are not playing with confidence or joy in terms of as what Ja said, perhaps. maybe that's a part of it too. We're not in
Foul
the locker
trouble.
rooms, right? It's that
Yeah.
too. We're not in their heads. We don't know what is really going on with what's on the team. But just looking at how Jaren plays, I don't think he doesn't look happy either. Um, and I don't know what it'll take for that to change. Drew, you mentioned before, at this point, like, are you going to just trade Jaren, as everyone wants to say in the comments and in Twitter, like, let's trade Jaren,
That's
A for what?
that's everybody's solution. Yeah.
Right, everyone's solution. I have a proposition for you, and I'm curious what people in the comments have to say to this as well. Whenever I think about trades, I try and think of teams with established good to very good players
Right.
who have backups who look like they have higher ceilings.
Right.
And when I think about that, that reminds me of Miami with Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware. Kel'el Ware is too damn good to be Bam's backup. Just period, full stop. He's too good to be his backup. But Bam is the established player in the NBA. He's still very good, still a damn good center.
Mm-hmm.
All those things, Olympian, etc. He's still a really good player.
Right.
But Kel'el has a higher ceiling than Bam Adebayo. I don't think that should be debated. It's very clear just watching Kel'el play. And what if Memphis, and I'm not saying that I would do this, but what if they traded Jaren for Bam? Like, how would that solve the problems of Memphis? And let me know in the comments. Please let me know if y'all think that would solve things, because everyone wants to trade Jaren. So what if they just trade Jaren for Bam? You can figure out picks, or maybe it's a 1-for-1. I don't know.
Yeah, for a long time there. For when you were going through that for a long time, I thought you were going to ask me if we would trade Jaren for Kel'el Ware, and don't know about that. And honestly, I don't know about Bam. I think they're kind of cut out of the same cloth. Bam does have that grittiness, though. If you prize that alpha, that is Bam in spades. Bam is can be a high usage post player, set screens, do all the
and rebound,
the crafty work. He's a really good rebounder. He's got a decent 3-point shot. There's a lot of stuff that you can really like about Bam Adebayo. I think he would work extremely well with Ja Morant. And Rusty, my co-host, were really high. He planted his flag for Kel'el Ware last year in the draft. He wanted Kel'el Ware over Edey. And I thought that was a pretty smart move. That, again, you want to run, go get a guy that can run, a guy that can finish over the rim. That's the way I would go. I think if you want to improve the forward position or the wing position or a post position at this point, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm shopping Jaren looking for that, but if I'm looking for what I want coming back, it's somebody that can finish above the rim, that can catch lobs. I don't know if Bam's that guy. I would love to have Bam on this team, but I'm just talking about a prototype that I think that Ja Morant needs is somebody that can run the court with him and can finish lobs. The problem, we've run down the court and nobody's been able to finish a lob except for Zaire Williams. His rookie year, he caught a bunch of lobs and everybody thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
And we haven't had anybody that can catch a lob.
Everything.
You got Edey catching a few lobs last year, but again, if you're talking about the pace and the speed where they're wanting, Edey's not going to be the first one down the court with Ja.
Right.
So that's what I'm looking for. Maybe Bam's the answer. I think Bam is one of the post players with the highest floors in the NBA. It's like super Sabonis or on the same level as Sabonis. It's not going to wow you a lot in the stat lines, but I mean, eat up rebounds, do everything that you would like for somebody to do on your team. So I don't know, maybe again, it's just really hard for me to step out on a limb here and say and start looking for Jaren options. Maybe that's because he's my guy and he's a Grizzly and we hold him pretty close.
Yeah, no, it's tough. The idea of what Jaren can become is so tantalizing. It's such a tease, because we've seen it from Jaren when he's playing at his best. We've seen him look like a true unicorn, hitting threes, putting his head down, getting to the rim, blocking shots. Being the block panther was when he won Defensive Player of the Year. We know what he can be. it's just the next step mentally that he's got to get to in order for him to reach that ceiling that we know he has. And I think that's a lot of things that piss us off the most as fans is when we see players who we know what they can look like on a court, and then for a long period of time they just don't show that to us, and we're all like, what the hell? Like, what happened? Like, why was this not sustainable? Why can't you just do this consistently? And that's the fan perspective. We're not them, at all, but that's how we view it. It's like, why can't Jaren just be this dude that we know he can be? Why not? But he can't. Not right now, at least.
I'm sorry, y'all can just keep coming with the Jock Landale mechanics jokes all you want to. I will continue to put them up there. I'm getting up. This is the most fun I've had on this show already. No offense, Francis, but
no.
Jock Landale fully rebuilt my hot water heater with premium components. No OEM stuff with Jock Landale. He uses pure brass and copper. So, I don't know, man. It's frustrating, and trust me, I'm with everybody. I just don't think that the solution is always a trade. There is nothing I value more as a long-standing Grizzlies fan than toughness and grit, and this team doesn't have it. And it starts at the top, and the top, in my opinion, is the coach and the play and Ja and Jaren. And you can talk about toughness. You can talk about what was the quote? What jungle animal were we supposed to be? What did Isolo say?
God,
he said it was going to be Jurassic Park. It's like we were going to be Jurassic Park, but the problem is you can say that all you want to, but your stars aren't backing you in it, and they're just not tough. Jaren's never been tough. Jaren is a very finesse basketball player, and us as Grizzlies fans do hold in very high regard physicality, and sometimes I wonder if we hold on to it to a detriment, to where guys with all the tools of Jaren Jackson Jr. we want to give up on too quickly because he just isn't willing to throw an elbow.
Yeah,
I wish he would, to be honest with you. I said going into that Cavs game, I want to see us win, or I want to see him punch somebody, like, literally, and we didn't get either of them. So I'm with you. I just don't know that trade Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't make this team better.
Yeah, it likely doesn't. And this, I tell people all the time. It's like I say this on Twitter all the time. The NBA is not 2K. You can't just put a trade into your my GM and then have it just magically happen. That's not how it works.
You know what the solution to this problem we have is they need to take the trade machine and put it behind a paywall. You should have to pay to access the trade machine, because you people just spend way too much time making unrealistic trades, and it approves it as long as the money makes sense. Like, that's not what goes into this. That's not what general managers are even considering. So, I don't know. I know everybody's frustrated. For some reason, it seems that every time the Grizzlies lose, an outsized proportion of it is put on the feet of Jaren Jackson Jr. And don't get me wrong, he hasn't been great this year. But you've played, we're 15 games into it, and you've yet to feel like you rolled out your best lineup.
Yeah. I guess two things. I understand why fans would do that, but again, looking at the roster, they're going to put the burden on the guy who's been here the longest, and at this point, it's Jaren. And then put the burden on the guy who, at this point, is their best player. And at this point, it's still Jaren. We love Cedric Howard, but Jaren is still the best player on this team. And so that's why fans want to put so much on his shoulders with no Ja Morant. And even if Ja's on the floor, they're still going to want to they'd rather give Jaren the crap than Ja, because it's Ja Morant, and he will always hold a spot in every Memphis Grizzlies fan's hearts. But with Jaren, it's a little different. They're willing to give him the burden, no question. I support that, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would have to have like platform shoes or stand in a chair, and they wouldn't respect me at all. But I'd give it a shot. Give it a shot. I'd be willing to run and dive on the court. Listen, I'm in college football country here in Northeast Mississippi, and everybody around us. This is a Memphis centric podcast. Y'all know what it is. The best job in the world is a fired head coach. Please sign me up for a multi-year deal. I'll sign it in blood, and then if you don't like me, fire me.
Hey, I got your back, Drew. I'll never turn on you, man. You become the Grizzlies head coach, I'll always have your back.
No,
I'll always be in your corner.
I just there's a lot of blame to go around. I feel like this thing went off the rails permanently to start preseason of last year when the whole staff was gutted and Tomas was inserted as the de facto coach in waiting and split the locker room and everybody quit playing for the love of the game or for pride or for, just to play basketball, and they picked sides and everybody got petty, including the coach. And now we're here, and you just can't, for any reason at all, get the level of effort out. And to be frank, this is not a game you lost because of effort.
Yeah.
This was Cleveland was not a game you lost because of effort. Yeah. This has just been you just got beat tonight. You didn't make shots, and you got out vetted by Harrison Barnes. It wasn't an effort
down the stretch. Yeah.
So
let me ask you before we get out of here, Drew, because again I haven't talked too much, so I want to hear your thoughts. What would be a successful season in your minds from this point now, 4-11? What would be a successful season in your mind?
Listen, at some point we're going to have a clear path forward. I don't know what that looks like, but you've got to have a trajectory and an identity to build around. You've got to find that somehow in the season, or you've got to find the problem. And at worst case scenario, and I think this team rebounds. I think they end up being competitive. But worst case scenario is you've got to find something you can build this team around. This team has no identity. I think coaching is too much onus is put on coaching a lot of times. This is a superstar league. Games are won and lost by superstars. I was a defender of Taylor Jenkins for large parts of last season because Ja Morant didn't play. Nobody played. It was just a disgusting season. And I am of the opinion that games are won by superstars. And so you've got to, and to finish that thought, the thing that the coach is most responsible for is instilling that identity. You've got to have a culture of accountability, a culture of winning, good mindset, good patterns, good practices. You've got to be able to do that. So at the worst case scenario, you've got to weed out the bad eggs here. You've got to be able to look into next season with potentially high draft picks and a really good draft and be able to have an identity. Zach Clement talked about wanting dogs, and he said Jalen Wells is a dog, Zack Edey is a dog, and he said that Cam Spencer was a pit bull or whatever it was. He talked about that, and then this season you were not getting dogs as a whole, And so you've got to at least come back with some sort of identity if this thing goes, just goes to the pits. I think ultimately this team is going to rebound. Your top end is too talented, and Ja Morant, if he can stay healthy and Jaren stays healthy, I still think that this team should be a hard out most times, more times than not. But, at the very, very worst case scenario, you've got to just set your sights on what can we build around to bring in some sort of identity to this basketball team.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate the answer.
What about you?
But
what do you think? What should the goal be?
I think the goal should be to see Ja Morant as happy as possible. I think that should be the goal. If it means him being healthy and them not training Jaren and making sure that, and them firing Isolo and making whatever that looks like, I I always will be in Ja's corner because
Yeah,
I'm of the mindset
same.
of if you have a superstar, and that is what Ja Morant is, he is still a superstar. If you have one, you should do what you can to keep him, especially in a small market.
Yeah,
And I hate seeing how unhappy he plays basketball right now. I don't know what it'll take for him to find that happiness, but if at the end of the year John Moran is playing happy, playing with his joy back, then that to me is a successful season. I don't know
yeah,
what it'll take. I'm not in the front office. I'm not in his inner circle. I don't know what that looks like or what it'll take. But we know what Ja is. We know what a ceiling can be as well, and that should, in my opinion, be the priorities, ensuring that he can be the most comfortable as possible. I know that there are some Grizzlies fans who have soured on Ja. I'm not one of those people. I
yeah.
don't. I'm not one of those people. So if at the end of the year he's back to playing with the joy and playing like the John Morant we know who he is, then that to me is a successful season. Now, as you said, Grizz Girl, does that mean that the Grizzlies are now winning? Probably. If the Grizzlies keep losing, is he going to play with joy? Probably not. Um, but also, like, what winning and success, how do you define success? Is it making the playoffs? Is it making the play-in? Like, look, this team is 4-11. To expect Memphis to make it to be a top 6 seed at the end of the regular season in the Western Conference is, I think, little pie in the sky. It's just too far-fetched. That's too much for me. Now it's just let's make the play-in, let's be competitive, and if they do so, then yeah, I'd call that a successful season, and that probably means that Ja's happy as well. I'm not team tank. I'm not team tear it down.
No.
I'm not even team fire Isolo. I don't even want him fired. I just want Ja to find his joy back and find his groove.
Yeah,
That's really what I want.
I think that there is a larger conversation with Ja and happiness that I truly believe that um, if you look for happiness in basketball, you're more or less going to always be unhappy. You've got to find it elsewhere, and you've got to just happiness doesn't start and end with rotations, and if it does, then you probably just need to look elsewhere for happiness, and then let this be your job. And you can have joy in your job, but basketball, it cannot be the only source of joy. But outside of that larger conversation that we could get into off the air on my thoughts and how you find that, is I'm with you 100%, 1,000%. You've got to unlock Ja Morant. You do not get the opportunity in Memphis to have a superstar like that very often. We've never had one before, and we're likely the odds are very short that if we trade Ja or he acts out or leaves in free agency in a few years, that you will ever have one again. It just doesn't happen that way. We were very fortunate with this, and you've got to maximize Ja Morant and make him the focal point and make him happy. And I know that sounds kind of bass backwards. I know I have kids, and that's not my main priority with my kids is that they're just filled with joy. I want to raise them to be good people, and sometimes that means tough love, and that kind of counterbalances what my thoughts are with Ja Morant. But you've got to find a way to make him happy. You've just got
Yeah,
to be able to exercise that in him, and if that means just handing him the keys, if that means firing Isolo 11 games into the season, 15 games into the season, do it. I mean, it's that simple to me. I don't care. I said it last year ad nauseum. Jaren had an incredible year last year with Taylor and with the communist offense, and the end of the season with Isolo. And I said ad nauseum, I was like, Jaren may be the best player on this court right now, but the most important player to this team will always and forever be Ja Morant as long as he's on there. I don't care that Santi's having a career year or Jaren or Jitty or whoever you want to talk about. It starts and ends with Ja. You've got to find out a way to make him excel at what he does.
yeah, I fully agree with that sentiment, no question. When people would say that, I had people ask me, "Do you think Jaren's the best player on the Grizzlies better than Ja?" I'm like, no, of course not. I don't. And who do you want to? And people would say like, who do you want to be the best player on the Grizzlies? It's Ja. Like I want Ja
Yeah.
Morant to be the best player on the Memphis Grizzlies. If the Grizzlies ever win a championship, with Ja and Jaren Jackson. Who do I want to win Finals MVP? Ja Morant. Like
Right.
that's who I want to win Finals MVP. Now, if the Grizzlies win a title and Jaren wins Finals MVP, all right, cool. Like hell yeah, still Grizzlies win a title. But who would I in my heart of hearts want to be the best player for the Grizzlies that brings a championship to the Bluff City? It's Ja Morant. Period.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think
Anthony.
that's the only path to that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I remember last year Anthony saying shout out saying he said it really well last year. I don't want to live in a world where Ja Morant is not the best player on the Grizzlies. I don't want to live
Right.
in that world. I want Ja to be the best player. Period. And I don't want to make it seem like Ja shouldn't be held accountable for whatever immature things he may do. He should be held accountable, no
Right.
question, no question. And if he is being held accountable and that's causing Ja to be unhappy, then yeah, sure, Ja's got to grow up a little bit because some people are going to have to hold superstars accountable. That's always important. But also, if Ja's frustration is with, rotations, lineups, the way they play basketball, if that's where Ja's frustration is, then that's more reasonable than him being frustrated with Isolo holding Ja accountable. That's different in my mind. You get what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
if Ja's frustration is basketball, the way the Grizzlies play basketball, how they've formed this roster to support him, he's the superstar, he's the point guard. If that's where Ja's frustration lies, then I think that's 100% fair, 100% fair. If that's where it stems, and those things are fixable in my eyes. It's the GM's job to ensure that the coach instills an offense and just a game plan that fits Ja Morant. And if that's not what Islo's doing with his style of offense, with his rotations, with his defensive coverages, with whatever it may be, then Islo's not the guy at that point. And I don't think a lot of people would push back on that.
No, I'm certainly not going to push it back on that. If on the basketball court, you have got to find a way to feature Ja Morant. If Ja Morant has just made up his mind that he's going to be a malcontent and not participate, then that's a whole different conversation. But it starts with me with being able for him to walk out on the court when it's time to tip off and think, I'm in a position in which I can dominate this basketball game. And if he can't do that, then you've got to change something. You've got to change anything. Anything's on the table.
Yeah. No, I was excited to do a post-game bounce with you, Drew, and I was also really excited to see a Memphis basketball win because it's been a rough,
a
rough few days for Memphis sports, man.
Yeah,
Tigers. Woo.
And Kenny really did you dirty. He left that commercial up for way too long of Francis saying you can't go undefeated if you don't win the first game, and then you lost 2 in a row. And so I will plug this. I don't think I don't have a slide for this, but anybody in the Memphis area, there is going to be a Memphis Tigers watch party Thursday at Mugshots in Collierville. The game is at 5, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you are correct.
Is it 3 o'clock Pacific? So
it is 3 o'clock Pacific. So yes,
so 5 o'clock Central Time for everybody at Mugshots. They will be watching the game. There's also the local Purdue chapter is actually going to join in on the watch party, so we can actually have y'all can fist fight it out if you don't like what's going on. Purdue is currently the number 1 team in the country, ranked number 1 in the country.
They're pretty.
And who knows? Good. The Grizzlies will be back in town, and the Grizzlies play that night. I was going to look see what the next game is for the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies do play on Thursday night against the Kings at home. So unfortunately, Zack Edey will not be in attendance. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah, the 5 p is what time is the game? The Grizzlies game, Drew?
The Grizzlies game's at 7 o'clock. So
it
works out great.
Yep.
You can just back-to-back those at Mugshots.
I was about to say, if you go to Mugshot, support Bluff City Media, support the Tigers in their game against Purdue, you show up to that, then you can just keep going. Keep eating, keep drinking, keep hanging out, watch the Grizzlies play the Kings, and just keep the good times rolling. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and we're also doing a live post game show, Tigers Live, from Mugshots. Are you going to zoom in for that?
Yeah, I'm still doing the show. Yeah, just doing the show from here. And me and Kenny have been talking. We're trying to. I'm trying to come back home sooner rather than later. I told Kenny and told on Tigers Live show before. I'm turning 30 in January, so
the big
I'm
one.
hoping to go to Memphis. Probably not at the same time as my birthday, but close to the time.
Mm-hmm.
And see family, see friends, see y'all, spend time with everybody, and do a live Tigers Live, which would be awesome. That I would be able to attend in person, other than doing it virtually.
Let me ask you this: my wife is turning 30 in less than a month. I've been in my 30s for some time now. I've always, when I turned 30, I said I'm not in my 30s. I will be in my 30s when I turn 31, but I am just 30. So you can cling to that. You're not in your 30s when you turn 30, but when you turn 31. Are you stressing about 30? Does it upset you any?
Maybe I'm suppressing it, Drew. We can have the intervention if you want to. We can tack on another 15 minutes, but
I
don't think so. Like I feel all right with it. I feel healthy, strong, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
30 did not bother me at all. I don't care one bit. By the time I turned 30, I was about to have my third kid, I guess. And so, yeah,
That's crazy. That's nuts.
Kenny was in high school when Francis was born.
Yeah. Yeah, Meek said, damn, he young. Yeah.
Yeah. I am 33, so I'm not much older than you. But, don't sweat age. Don't sweat age. It's just a number. It's literally just a number.
Yeah,
and
I feel good.
Take it from somebody who knows. If you ever start feeling old, have a kid, because they will make you feel young again.
Ooh. Yeah.
So,
that's true.
So, all right. It is 10:22 Central Standard Time. It is almost time for you get to watch the late game and stay up a little bit later, but I'm going to bed. So
sleep.
This has been the Post-Game Bounce. I'm Uncle Buck. I've been honored to have been joined by Francis Carlotta from the left coast and Tigers Live. And so that's it. Grizzlies lose 111-110. It was same script, different team. We'll try again on Thursday. Thanks, Francis.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate you, Drew. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Always a pleasure. Thank you.